All right. Hey, everybody. Thank you for coming. My name's Chris McCann. I'm one of the general partners at Race Capital. I was out a little late last night. My voice sounds terrible. I'm sorry. We were one of the original seed investors for Solana itself, so it's kind of incredible to see everything go on today. And we're also a seed investor in Saber, in my opinion, one of the more interesting, unique projects in the Solana ecosystem. So before we dive into Saber, maybe I want a little bit of a context for everybody in the crowd. How did you learn about Solana? Why did you pick Solana? Because you were doing a lot of things in the original OG Ethereum DeFi space. So how did you find yourself over here to begin with?
Yeah, for sure. So I've been following Sam for a while from FTX, probably since like July of last year. But I basically have like a friend group of traders that have just been like following like I guess the growth of FTX, and they saw that they got really into Solana, so they looked into it, and they kind of just brought me in. They're like, hey, you should look at this Solana thing. It's like a really fast blockchain, and these really smart people are building on it. So yeah, we built a stable swap for the Solana hackathon in November of last year, and we just built some quick app. But yeah, basically we like left the Solana ecosystem for a bit, like for maybe 2 or 3 months, because the tooling wasn't as developed. But around April of this year, we just got back into it because Anchor came out, and it seemed like a lot could actually happen really fast with the Solana ecosystem at that time. And like there was like a lot of good support for stablecoins, so we thought that it was the right time to launch Saber, and that's when we did that.
Cool. And that was like the original, that was the very first hackathon, right?
Yeah, it was the first hackathon. Mm-hmm.
Cool. And how did you, so when Saber launched, one of the things that was probably the most incredible things for a lot of the people viewing this is your TVL growth completely exploded in the first few weeks, months post-launch. And this was at the time when TVL was not really a thing in the Solana ecosystem yet. There was Radium and there was Serum, but it was still like a pretty small ecosystem. How did you guys do that?
Yeah, for sure. So I think there's two things. One is that we really tried to make a really nice UI. So it wasn't just the swapping UI or the experience of staking, but like also like just seeing like the numbers count up as you like stake into Saber for liquidity mining was something that we prioritized. We had like a higher like number of tokens so that people would be able to all like get at least one Saber and like see things count up. But we just tried to make the experience really fun. The second thing was that we brought in some friends to basically build on top of Saber and just grow out the ecosystem. But yeah, so that was like Sunny Aggregator. But yeah, they basically built an app on top of us, and they did the same thing. They tried to also make it feel like a game. And yeah, like those two things combined, I guess made our apps really fun to stake into.
Actually, I wanted to talk about that because, like, even I get a lot of questions sort of being involved. Saber actually has a big ecosystem of other apps and projects and things being built on top and kind of around all of your core liquidity pools. I'm curious, like, how do you view Saber as part of this ecosystem? Can you tell us a little bit more about, I guess, like the overall strategy? And yeah, how do you think about that?
Yeah, for sure. So we view Saber as like the liquidity foundation for any sort of stable swap. So not just stable coins, right, which is the obvious one, but also things like staking derivatives like Sol, MSOL, and Bitcoin, ETH, that kind of thing. But from that, right, we basically don't want to make it any more complicated than that because we want to support any possible asset. From that, yeah, we're trying to get people to leverage the fact that our assets or our LP tokens are just, I guess, better to hold than like holding the actual like Bitcoin or ETH or whatever on chain. Just because you earn like swap fees, there might be some staking rewards you can get from it, but there's other things. So we're just trying to help people build out apps that, I guess, illustrate what that is.
Got it. And I think it was just like a couple of days ago you launched this like Cash initiative, or I guess another group of founders launched the Cash initiative. Can you tell us more about that one too?
Sure. Yeah. So we brought in a friend actually to build like a suite of products that I guess leverage Saber in some ways. So they built this thing called Crate Protocol, which is basically like a way to like group baskets of assets together. But that person also has like a lot of friends that they know, and they've one of their friends built this stablecoin. We've been trying to get someone to build it for a while. That basically like aggregates Saber LPs and stakes them and into Sunny. So people are getting Saber and Sunny rewards, or at least the DAO is. And then that token itself could like be a stablecoin that we could just promote to like get get more liquidity into Saber. And yeah, the reason why we are focused so much on liquidity is that that's what provides the best slippage for swaps and gets people to perform big trades in large volume.
Got it. So maybe if I could reiterate, like you don't see Saber as just like the singular pool where you do the swaps, but you actually see this much more as an ecosystem where people are going to use your LP tokens, your liquidity pools, your other things into many, many applications kind of surrounding what would become the Saber ecosystem. Like, is that kind of more or less how you view it?
Yeah, for sure. So Saber is a AMM and a DEX, right? So AMM, as in it has like some asset you can put money into, and you get trading fees of some sort. And then the DEX part is DEX, right? But I think the DEX part is not something we necessarily like want to focus on that much, right? All we do is we let people trade between stable pairs, right? But the liquidity is like the more important part, and we want other people to actually build the DEXs on top of us. And yeah, for AMMs again, like we don't want people to have to think really deeply about what an LP token is and how it works. We'd rather have other protocols even profit from the fact that they could just build on top of us and just get the fees themselves, and it just generates more liquidity for us and generates more fees for our users.
Cool. And I guess last one on the topic of Saber stuff specifically, like I guess like what do you view? What's next? What's coming out? I don't know if you have any announcements or anything, but like what are you guys thinking of in the sort of short and medium term?
Yeah. So the main thing for Saber is governance. We really want to focus on decentralization so that we could, again, like what we really care about is the ecosystem. So we want people to be building on top of Saber and contributing back upstream. We think decentralization is really important because it provides like this like neutral ground for anyone to just build on top of, and it's just like a common library that anyone can use. So there's that, and also like we're continuing to support the ecosystem. We want to work with other projects or founders that are thinking of building on top of Saber really closely. We want to make sure that they have everything they need in order to build on top of us. And one reason for this is that this is actually another reason why we got into the Solana ecosystem. So Solana Labs actually has this thing called the Solana program library, where they've basically built out like examples of how to build an AMM, how to build like a lending market, and all sorts of things like that. And a lot of the top projects in Solana are actually forked from the original code from there, Saber included. And yeah, I mean, Saber contributed upstream. We contributed like the stable swap curve back to the Solana program library. But yeah, because of Solana like supporting this initiative of having code out there for other people to use, then it developed this like really vibrant ecosystem of products in a way that like I think no one could have anticipated that Solana would grow this big in 1 year. Like I guess from last November to today, right? It's like the ecosystem's completely different.
Yeah.
And it's only because like the Solana the Solana Labs just supported people building on top of Solana.
How do you actually? Yeah, I wanted to transition, I guess, away from Saber specifically and more kind of thinking about other founders, especially more technical founders, thinking about this ecosystem. I remember in the beginning, development was very rough. It's probably still a little rough to do a lot of this stuff. I'm curious, like from a founder, more technical perspective, how is it sort of using a lot of these libraries? How is using things like Anchor? Is there other sort of big missing other pieces from the developer ecosystem, like you wish you sort of saw out there?
Yeah, there's a ton of things missing. I think one is that it's kind of hard to basically audit like the history of program upgrades. Like there's a culture around decentralization already within Ethereum that I guess Compound created, right? Where basically you have like a governance like voting thing where you can like see like things in the past. But I think we just need a little more tooling around that for us to have like an ecosystem like that. Yeah, but other than that, yeah, I think those kinds of things just need to be built, and hopefully projects like us will be able to create our governance programs and make other people like use them.
I guess, and then what are some of the more like non-obvious considerations you have when you're starting one of these projects? Like for example, like I know you guys, and I'm friends with a lot of the ecosystem projects, and like the amount of support requests and Discord messages and Twitter threads and everything, like I could only assume how overwhelming all of this stuff is. I guess you being as a founder now today with one of the the bigger Solana apps, like what are some of the things other people in the room who are thinking about starting something, like what should they be thinking about before they go on this journey?
Yeah, I think the number one thing is they should think about like building really fast. So one thing we prioritize really hard at Saber is like shipping actual products, right? We don't spend as much time engaging with the community as a lot of other projects do. But what we do is we want to have like the best, I guess, products and best use cases for assets in Solana. And I think in the short term, it might not be the most exciting thing, right? Like we don't look like we're like I don't know, like memeing or whatever, right? But in the medium term, which in crypto is maybe like 3 or 6 months, right? This will make the ecosystem a lot more robust, and people will actually have a lot more things to do on Solana really fast. Yeah, so shipping things is what we care about.
Yeah, these guys are shipping machines. And by the way, if there's any entrepreneurs out there like with a heavy shipping mentality, talk to Ian, and we'd also love to talk to you too. Like we love teams that have this characteristic, and even from day one, you always had this. You and Dylan, your brother, always had this mentality. Maybe on a more personal level, like how is it starting a company with your brother? You and Dylan are brothers together. You're both doing Saber, family. Like I'm sure there's some interesting stories there as well.
Yeah, it's fun. So this is not actually the first time Dylan and I worked together, but I think it's maybe the third time. I had a startup before, which didn't pan out, and we also both worked together at a company called Pipe. But we kind of like have similar ways of thinking about things. Like he also cares mostly about product. He also has the same things he likes and doesn't like. He gets annoyed about the same things as I do. So because of that, like we can kind of like rely on each other to just like operate independently for a lot of the time, and that's really great. I think the hardest thing about running a company in general is communication, right? When you have more people or you have people you haven't worked with that much, then a lot of times like people don't agree on things, and then that causes conflicts or just causes things to like it causes people to like not focus on the same mission, and things become slower and less efficient. But we don't have that because we're brothers. We know each other for a long time, and we kind of like grew up in the same like I guess environment, so we think the same way.
Got it. And changing topics a little bit, I think I saw a tweet from you the other day that you were stating that, I'm probably going to butcher the quote, that you believe all the Solana native apps themselves, you think they're going to win over versus a lot of the other porting ones. So for example, if you took Compound and ported it over to EVM compatibility to Solana, you think the Solana native version would actually win itself. I'm curious, can you like dive into a little bit of that? And maybe not so much on the controversial side, but I'm curious like why you hold that view.
Sure, yeah. So I think taking a step back, one reason why the Solana ecosystem is doing way better than almost any other non-ETH ecosystem is that it's not an EVM chain. And because of that, every single Solana dev is actually a Solana dev. Like when I'm in the hacker house here in Lisbon, people are often not actually that familiar with Ethereum and Solidity development. They're actually just here just for Solana, and they like even got into crypto because of Solana. So with that, like you just have a developer ecosystem that's focused only on Solana, and they can't move to EVM even if they wanted to. Like they'll have to like learn new things and just like be in a different culture. And with that, yeah, like Solana development is easy, or right now it's so much easier than building it. Or I guess EVM development doesn't really exist right now. And I guess if someone were to port something over, like they wouldn't have the I guess that was your question. Like if someone ported something over to Rust, right? With that, like if it's a project that's not like native to Solana and doesn't know about Solana, right? There's not that many of those projects right now, so those projects I guess won't necessarily have as much. I guess they won't like be within the Solana ecosystem, which is developed kind of its own way. Like it has its own like catchphrases and stuff that people say on Twitter that are not in Ethereum, and vice versa. So it's just different cultures.
Got it. So you're bullish on Solana, specifically ones, not necessarily the kind of more multi-chain world, if you will.
No, I think there will be a multi-chain world. It's just that I think that Solana has its own culture that is like you can only like be part of the Solana culture if you are like in the Solana ecosystem, I guess.
Cool. So we have 6 minutes. Let me do some rapid fire questions, kind of more fun ones.
Sure.
Sorry I didn't prep you for any of this, but I'm going to throw some out there. If you were going to apply in the hackathon today and you could not do Saber, what would you start?
Yeah, I would look at whatever is a really big DeFi app on Ethereum right now that like is generating a good amount of revenue, and just replicate that on Solana. That doesn't exist yet on Solana. I wonder what that'd be. I mean, I think DYDX would be a really great thing to build. There's several teams working on like perps and margin chain and stuff right now. but it's not like the most popular thing to do yet in Solana. So I think there's still a lot of room for innovation there.
Rapid fire questions, so quick answers.
Yeah. Oh, sorry.
2, I guess, what do you think? What is your prediction on what you think the TVL for the Solana ecosystem will be? Let's say at the end of 2022.
2022.
So end of full next year.
I think 100 billion. That's my guess.
Okay, you guys heard it here, folks. 100 billion. Let's see how close we get. Outside of Saber, what's like the project that most interests you in the Solana ecosystem? And, for whatever your own personal reason.
Yeah, I think Cash, the stablecoin built in Saber LPs, is pretty interesting.
Not non-Saber.
Not in the Saber ecosystem at all. That's a hard question. Okay, I think just the general staking derivative ecosystem, like for Sol, is pretty good. It improves decentralization.
Cool. I guess if you had any feedback or sort of imparting thoughts for technical founders trying to build something, what would your words of advice be?
You should just build something. Don't talk to too many people. Don't fundraise before you build the product. Yeah, just build.
Got it. The Mango IDO contract, bullish, bearish on the construction of the contract?
I haven't read the code. That's all I'm going to say.
OK. Let's see if I can think of any more. You're answering my questions a little too fast, I guess.
Faster, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
You said to answer faster.
I guess maybe our last thought, and we can kind of wrap up at the end. I guess now, you being in the Solana ecosystem, building one of these apps, seeing where it is today, which is honestly super incredible to see how much progress it's made. I guess, do you have any reflections, kind of being part of this and the whole movement that honestly this spawned?
Yeah, for sure. I think it's really great that a lot of people are entering the Solana ecosystem. Yeah, it's just crazy to see so many people actually coming here for a Solana event. When I first got into Solana, there was no one interested in it. Honestly, there was so much FUD, and everyone was saying Solana is a bad chain. So yeah, it's just interesting to see how it became a completely different chain after a few apps launched. And yeah, I hope this pace of development continues, and I hope Solana moves towards being more, I guess, it should get more qualities of Ethereum over time. Right now, it's we're in the mania phase, I guess, and there's all sorts of people coming in. But yeah, we should prioritize developers as well, hopefully.
Cool. Well, thank you, Ian. I really appreciate all your thoughts, especially the more personal ones they had to share. If anybody wants to talk to us, you can grab us afterwards. I think this is the final talk before they close down this venue. So I hope to see everybody at the after party. Make sure to talk to other people in the room, especially people you don't know. The Solana ecosystem's a small place still. It's a small world. I have a lot of love for the community here. So thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys for listening. And I hope you guys have a wonderful evening.
Yeah,
bye,
thanks,
everybody.
guys.
Hey, man.
Yeah. Thanks.